Hi, what is up, guys? Manic here, and welcome to my review of Cyberpunk. Now, let me get one thing straight. I do understand there are 5 endings or 6. From my knowledge, it's 5. If there's a 6th one, I'm not sure. Now I did beat the game with only one ending because I feel the need to because I feel like the only thing that would be different is the ending. So I'm gonna go over my ending. So spoiler alert, there are gonna be some spoils in here. I will be talking about the different endings that to my knowledge, there's 5. I didn't check out the secret endings, so I'm not sure what the secret ending is. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5 different endings. I'll go over from my knowledge. There is one, the 2 I'm not sure of. So don't spoil those in the comments for people who are watching this, because, especially for me, because there's a secret ending there, which I kind of want to get to. I feel like once I do the secret ending, or once I get all the 4 endings, and then the secret ending, I'm on to the secret ending, then I'm gonna need to deal with spoilers. Either way, I'm not sure. But, so I will be talking about my ending I got. Now, let's start off with the obvious. What do I think of this game? I really love this game. Again, like I said in my first thoughts, ignore all the bugs part of the game. I'm gonna not talk about the bugs because I feel like bugs shouldn't make a game. You know? I really love the game. It's I think one of the few games I felt emotionally attached to. It was, it's different. So yeah, my ending I got was the star ending, which I think is the star. Which if you guys are unsure what the star ending is, I could be misleading on one of these. It's basically where you do the oh, fuck, what's the clan? But it's Pan Am's clan. I forgot what it was. I guess I'm not gonna worry about it. But yeah, it's essentially where you do Pan Am's clan. You have to do all of Pan Am's quests. Anytime she calls you, you have to do that quest. Romancing her is not needed to do it. I beat the game as a female, so that just shows that you don't need to beat the game. You don't need to romance her. I would say that's pretty weird if you had to romance her to get that thing, but it does. But thankfully you don't, because otherwise, I was too deep in to do that one. I didn't want to do the devil ending, which I'll talk about in a moment, but I didn't want to do that ending because I've invested too much time into this one. Plus, like I mentioned before, in my Cyberpunk is making me feel weird and I'm the problem video, I talked about the fact that I romanced Judy, and for whatever reason, I kind of gained special attachment to people I romance. Don't judge. It's just the way I am. I need to find a way to control it, but for the moment I can't. And then if you do the devil ending, they end up breaking up with you if you just romance Judy and Pan Am. I'm not sure about River and the other one. I forgot his name. I haven't come across him in my gameplay. That's probably why. But yeah, all I know is that Judy and Pan Am are the only one that breaks up with you if you do the devil ending. So yeah, I will talk about some of the stuff that I already talked about in my first look, kind of, because I already started the second character. I will talk about what I plan to go with my second character. I did use builds. I did use Extra Life's build, but I'm not going to include that in my review because there's no way you could. But yeah, yeah, I've grown to such an attachment for my character, so much, and if you guys know, I play female characters a lot, so, and I'm so used to a female character, I feel like whenever, since I'm doing a male character, that everything just comes off weird. Anytime I hear someone be like, yo, what's up, V, and I get a guy's response, I'm like, that's not the real V, you're an imposter, but whatever, doesn't matter. So yeah, so I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna kind of rehash what I did for my first look, kind of give an update now that I've done male customization. So I do like the fact that you can customize your eye color or your eye sort of thing. So you can have black eyes, you can have hard eyes, you can have like a red circle eyes, that sort of stuff. You can even have red eyes. You can have bloodshot eyes. It's really interesting. So something like that is definitely new from what I've seen. Most of the time, the only thing that I would say is different, or that is what I'm used to, is bloodshot eyes, because you can get those in Fallout 4, but they don't have the different color varieties. Like aside from the designs, like standard eye color, like mine is black, yours is probably green or blue or whatever. Is Outer Worlds, where you can have pink eyes, which is a really weird thing to say you have. Purple eyes, like any sort of eye color. But this one you can have like, I'm doing a Netrunner character. That's what my male character is doing right now, which is weird considering what I plan to go with this character, which I'll talk about later in this review. That is really weird thing. Sorry, the TV is on and I'm just... What I saw is really weird. But yeah, you can have different eye colors. I noticed with the beard thing, it's basically like a standard beard thing, but then you can modify it a certain way. I have my character as a goatee because I'm a fan of goatees. Plus, you can't really get good choppers in the game. That's my thing, is I love choppers in games. But even though I don't use choppers in any of my characters, but that's not the point. Yeah, genitalia is pretty straightforward. I mentioned that during my first, because I have a feeling some people are like, oh, you can customize genitalia. I wonder what that's like. You can, you do have one set of, you don't need to have genitalia, so that way you look like those dummies they usually find in like science class where there's no genitalia, it's just clean shaven. You can't have a vagina. That's just one standard thing. And then you have two penises, one's circumcised, one's uncircumcised, if that's what you want. I can't tell the difference. Not that it matters. Penis size is about the same as the boobs. You have small, default, and large, which, by the way, small and default look, it just looks like it's just shortened the tip a bit. So small and default kind of look nothing different. At least to what I noticed, because, again, I review games. That's kind of the point of what I'm trying to do. So yeah, if you guys were somehow wondering about genitalia, then you're probably about as weird as me. But yeah, there you go. Sadly enough, your guy can't have boobs, which sucks because I wanted to just drive around NC, and anytime I drive around the car, I just play Dude Looks Like a Lady by Aerosmith. But you can't do that. You can't have hair long enough like women, or the female V, so that's also the downside. But aside from that, that's pretty much it. I do like the fact you can customize nails in the game, not just for women. But kind of like the whole boobs on a guy, I think it would have been funny if you could have a beard on your female. But I guess, because that's what you can do in Outer Worlds, but I guess it makes sense. But other than that, I'm gonna say, if I ever describe this game to anyone, I would say it's like GTA 5 with less customization options and more free will. In a sense, there's a lot more nudity. There's a lot more nudity than you find in GTA 5, because in GTA 5 the most you'll see is boobs. That's about it. But in this, you can see vaginas, penises, the whole king caboodle. That's the saying. But and the reason I say less customization options is in the sense you can't modify your car. You're only limited to 2 modifications as opposed... modifications, mostly like sights and silencers, as opposed to Grand Theft Auto 5, where you can have sights, flashlight, grips, all of that. I'm not going to be comparing this game to GTA 5. I just kind of want to give like sort of like a basis because kind of need to prove my point whenever I say GTA 5. It's like GTA 5 with less modification options and more free will. You still can't commit a crime, but it's not the case of like you shoot one person, whereas it's a bit more strict as opposed to GTA 5 where you shoot one person, now the cops are on you. But in this, if you shoot one person, you're let off with a warning. If you do it again, then there's a warranty. There's a warrant issued on you. So I would say something like that is pretty interesting. They do have uniques in the game, which is actually pretty awesome because that's one thing I enjoyed about games like Fallout and Outer Worlds was that there are uniques. But I'm taking a step back. Next best thing should have been the attributes and perks, or the attributes. There's no CH in there. It's kind of weird because it is kind of like the thing of like attributes, and then depending on your level of attribute, there's perks to go with it. But you have a new thing, which is level. So like for example, let's say you're aiming for a certain perk you want. In this case, you're doing a stealth pistol character, like Fextra Life's assassin character, if you want to do that. The one thing you would need is a level 20 in handgun skill to get the good, bad, and ugly, or the good, the bad, and the ugly, or whatever. The 20 goes into handguns, not the attribute. So you could get a level 20 reflex attribute, and you still won't get that. That's something I find to be really ridiculous and kind of confusing, because in the sense of there isn't. How would I word this? There's from what I find, there isn't a whole lot of leveling up options aside from doing the quests needed. Where unlike I'm gonna keep going back and forth, but I feel like giving my opinions on this. Where unlike Fallout or New Vegas, there's like constant areas where you can grind for experience. This, you're just thrown into it and you have to find ways to do so. And there's also one thing that I found to be really stupid, is based off of quests are all based off difficulty. So like your danger level could be very high. You're not supposed to do those because all the enemies are going to have skulls, which means they're going to be very hard to kill. That is something I don't like, and that was a problem I had whenever I first started Horizon Zero Dawn, which I want to talk about in a moment, because this is probably going to be my most controversial statement I'll ever say. And trust me, it is going to be pretty bad. And so yeah, that was a problem I had. It was a similar problem I had with Horizon Zero Dawn. Was you need to be a certain level to start a quest. Now, you don't need to be. Let me rephrase that. You don't need to be a certain level to start the quest. You can start the quest whenever, but it's a matter of the certain level makes it easier. So something like that really, I'm not a fan of. Yeah, like I always say, I do love technology in video games. The cyber decks are really interesting. Since I'm doing my net run, I am pretty new at this one. Sorry, I put in new gauges today, so you have to forgive me if I'm trying to make sure that these don't fall out. So yeah, the cyber decks are pretty cool. The hacks are pretty cool. If there's one thing I noticed was the net runner may be pretty good if you're having trouble with Atom Smasher, who you face off later at the ending. All of the endings except for maybe one, to my knowledge. Again, I don't know what the sequence ending is. I don't know what happens during there. But yeah, with all of the endings available minus one. You face off against Atom Smasher, with some of the hacks there are actually pretty good, pretty useful, because Atom Smasher's a mech, And let me just say, with help, it's so much easier to deal with him. Aldecados. That was the name of my ending. If you do the Aldecados or Pan Am's clan ending, that was the ending I did. It was the Aldecados, which sounds like I'm saying avocados. Yeah. So, in case you guys were wondering, or you guys are getting mad at me for not knowing, because apparently I shouldn't be reviewing games that I apparently haven't played, which is true, but that's it's from an earlier video or late. Yeah. Anyways, going off track. Yeah, I will say, if you want my advice, start off with the star ending. It makes it a lot easier if you really want. It's not. I want to say it's the best ending because again, okay, it's the best ending so far to my knowledge because again, I don't know the other endings. But from what I've witnessed, it is a really good ending. That is very pornographic. Sorry, I keep watching the TV. I'm trying to do a video. I could turn it off, but I mean, I have it muted, so it's no big deal. Anyways, so yeah, I do advise the star ending because it makes dealing with Adam Smasher a lot easier. Also, even if you're not doing a net run character, I will say, put some skill points into your Netrunner or Cyberdeck stuff. It'll make it a lot easier, to my knowledge. Some advice I would give is do breach or use the breach option every time. Or yeah, sorry, I'm fairly new to something like this. This game has a lot to take in if you're a dumbass like me, so that's something to keep in mind. So if you or breach output every time or whatever, it'll make enemies a lot easier because it loosens their resistance by like I think 30% or whatever. So which I think helps if you're doing like hard or moderate quests or tasks or whatever. I don't know what the proper thing is. Also, another thing I would advise is if you want a good ending, kind of look towards romancing people, mostly the four. Just because it kind of, if you're more of like an ending person, depending on how you are, I would say do that because you get a fairly good ending. Even though that's just my personal issue, nothing to worry about. Even though romancing doesn't really affect the ending in any way, it's just like a little bonus thing you get at the end, like oh, someone came to visit or whatever, and some shit like that. So, but I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to review. The cars in the game are actually pretty good. I do love the beginner stuff you get. I do love the fact that you can call your car. That's one thing I feel was awesome to the game. Sorry, I was trying to think of some stuff, but I was like, that's something that's missing in GTA 5. But I was like, I'm not gonna do that. That's a unique touch. To me, I'm still trying to work out the controls because controls are, while they are very important, it's kind of all over the place. There have been multiple times where I've accidentally called someone when I meant to check the messages they sent. I do love the fact. This is gonna sound really weird, but that's the point of this channel. I do love the fact you can complete quests completely naked if you want. To my knowledge, I don't think they say anything because I never walk around naked. I do walk around shirtless, but with the jacket on, which is very weird if you're doing a professional setting, such as police activity, trying to figure out the assassination of the mayor or whatever. So, yeah. So moving forward, I do love Johnny Silverhands. He does get annoying But he's so funny on the part where you and Takamura, or yeah, that's the name. Whenever you and Takamura are scouting the thing for the parade, and Johnny's just like laying there on the top, and he rolls over and falls off, and then that's his exit. It's pretty funny. I do like the fact that if he's not in your sight at all and you look over, he's gone. I do like something like that. His little tidbits or quibs or whatever, where they where he's like, I wouldn't advise doing that. Seems pretty funny. I do find it interesting on how during certain romance areas, depending on if you plan to romance them or not, on like the date of the gender, if you do it right, and he always causes the problem in some form or fashion, whether intentional or not. He always shows up for like the finisher of the whole dating thing. Like if you're playing on romancing Judy, which is all female body, female voice, everything, which I kind of want to talk about in a moment because the whole romance thing is kind of funny. He sort of sets it up to the whole sex scene, if you want that. Or Pan Am, I think hers finishes up the whole dating thing because, to my knowledge, it's possible to have sex before Johnny shows up. Again, sorry, that was the laptop that you guys are leaning on, or that have the camera leaning on. So something like that is kind of funny. I like it how Johnny says nothing about it, you know, because you guys share a head, which means I'm pretty sure, or to say the same body, which means I'm pretty sure he sees everything. No, not a single word about that. He doesn't talk about the fact that you slept with Judy or whatever, or there's also a possibility that you can romance a previous bandmate. I don't know if he mentions something there that is amazing. But one step at a time. So yeah, he's kind of funny. So the let's talk about romancing now, because I did say I would. Romancing is pretty specific. Again, it's different for me because I'm used to Fallout 4 romancing, where it's just like a list of like stuff they like, stuff they dislike, charisma checks or whatever. Something like Piper is pretty easy for me because it's just a bunch of picking locks and be nice and just get a high charisma check. But this, you have to use specific. You have to say specific stuff, you know, like if you want Judy, you have to do whatever Judy says, obviously. I looked at Pan Am stuff. You have to do whatever Pan Am, you have to side with Pan Am. Like, you have to be very specific. You say one wrong thing and now the whole thing is off. So, and if you say the wrong thing and you want to romance Pan Am or River, whatever the fuck his last name is, or even Judy, if you say the wrong thing, that's it. You can't do that anymore. The other thing I noticed is the fact that if you want to romance Pan Am, you have to be a street kid, which if you don't want to be a street kid, but you want to romance Pan Am, well, sorry to say, you need to be a street kid to do so. I think. I haven't romanced her yet, because I'm a weirdo. So, but otherwise, it's different than what you would expect. It's a lot more graphic than what I'm used to. And again, like I said in my Cyberpunk 2077 is making me feel weird and I'm the problem. I talked about the fact that it's not like Fallout, or I kind of mentioned it earlier in this video. It's not like Fallout 4 where, like, depending on your options, you can still keep your romanced person to a degree, as long as they're not related to a faction. So, like, you can keep Piper as a romance option, or you can still, if you're already dating Piper, she won't break up with you if you side with the Institute. She'll be heartbroken, but she'll still keep you. That's not the way it is with Cyberpunk, but I already mentioned already, but since I'm talking about romancing, let's just go on with it. If you do the double ending, which will kind of lead to the endings, to my knowledge, they'll break up with you, or they can show up after the after your ending, again, aside from the devil or one of the other ones, and I think the secret ending. Speaking of which, let's go over the endings. So some of the, like I mentioned before, the star ending where you do the Aldecados, which means you have to do all of Panam's quests. Romancing not needed, like I mentioned already. Which is pretty interesting because I at first, like I mentioned before on my I think either first talk or my first thoughts or my Cyberpunk's making me feel weird video. I'm talking about the fact that I was headed towards the devil ending, and this was before I romanced Judy, so I didn't know that that's a possibility. So and and that one I feel is, I think, the bad ending because it is the devil ending, which devil usually represents evil, and since your romance objects can't break up with you, I do feel like that's the bad ending. Even though I don't think there's, I don't know if there's any morality ending. So like you should do the star ending because if you care about morality, this is the moral thing to pick, even though bunch of people die. And which is sad because you lose out on like some of the best characters. You lose out on one of the leaders of the clan, which is kind of foreshadowing if you do decide to do the star ending and you talk with one of the two leaders, well, one before you meet Panam, but two after. So there's that. There's the devil ending where you go through Arasaka Tower by yourself. Well, not by yourself, but you infiltrate the thing, which means you have to kill Adam Smasher by yourself, which sucks. But which is why if I ever do the devil ending, I'm gonna use like some strong, powerful character to deal with him, or I can just take my time on a Netrunner character and then use Short Circuit, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. There's the I think it's the temperament ending where you let Johnny take control. That's what I'm kind of going with my male character. I want to let Johnny take control, which is weird considering the fact that I'm doing that. This one is a Netrunner character, and he's not going to be using net running. I don't know. I haven't done this ending yet. This was one of those that made me feel weird whenever I talked about it in my video, was the fact that I worked so hard, or I could work so hard to romance whoever, and then Johnny just leaves them, which leaves all my hard work and desperation and doubtfulness of whether I was successful or not just goes down the drain. So basically hard work is for nothing, which is something I hate doing. I hate whenever your hard work achieves nothing. So yeah, sorry for talking about romance a lot. That's one of the things I feel it's a part of the game, so I feel the need to talk about it. And then there's the suicide ending, which is just after you go to, so how it's set up, how the ending is set up, depending on whether you want to do the devil ending or some of the rest of the other endings. You meet Hanukkah at Embers, and then after which Johnny takes over, and it's like, now we are not trusting her. So you black out. You wake up at Vic's place, or Victor Vector, and then Misty sends you up to the roof to kind of like where she brought Jesse and or Jackie, not Jesse. She brought Jackie over some dealing with the Valentinos. And then so if instead you're just like, I'm gonna kill myself, it's pretty straightforward. There's like nothing you can do. Whether you're on the path to do the devil, Aldecados, or Johnny, you can just kill yourself, which is the easiest ending ever, because that's it. Although if you want to make people, if you enjoy making people sad, romance, it's two or one person, depending on your gender. I'll leave that up to you, because at the end, whenever you kill yourself, they get sad, obviously. You're dating them, they feel a certain connection towards you. It's different. I will say, whenever I was talking about romances, I forgot one thing. The stipulations are, some of them are pretty straightforward, but then others, they don't have any. It's just a matter of having a male body, you can have a female voice. Like if you want to do Panam, you have to have a male body, but you can have a female voice, and vice versa with Rivers, whatever. Which, speaking of which, I find Rivers to be a very weird person to romance because he looks like what Kevin Hart describes as prison body, which is where like you work on your torso and you're like buff as fuck, but you don't work on your legs. So it's it's ridiculous. Plus the eye thing, I'm not sure. It just doesn't seem appealing to me, even though this isn't real life and doesn't matter. But yeah, I like the fact that those are the only weird stipulations. So Judy is female across the board, which means you need to have a female body, female voice. The samurai person, I forgot his name, but Johnny's previous band or former band members you have to be a guy across the board. So it's basically Rivers and Panam. You need to have a female body, but you can have a male V voice, and vice versa for Panam. But I just find it interesting on how you can do that. It just looks weird, you know? Unless you're transgender, then that's the only exception. But in video games, it just seems weird because they aim towards looking like a female. Like you can't make your male character look like a female and vice versa. So basically, you're just a female looking, a realistically looking female with a male voice. That just seems a bit weird to me. Again, unless it's real life and you're transgender, then go crazy. Oh, I got a hair in my... Oh. A hair on my tongue. It's not... Oh, it's not going away. I'll deal with it. So anyways, and then, I think I went through all my endings. The Avocados, the Star ending, the Devil ending where you infiltrate Arasaka Towers with, Hanako Arasaka to kind of remove the biochip. The biochip does get removed, or Johnny is at least gone. Now, I don't know for certain, especially in my ending, the Star ending. I'm not sure if like, cause they say like once Johnny is removed, you still have a couple more weeks to live. So I'm not sure if it's the case of like, of like, okay, so Johnny's removed, so you're gonna die soon. They don't show that, and if they do, I don't know. But yeah, Ripper. So cyberware is a pretty interesting thing. I like how it went from ending to something that you mean at the beginning, but I'm all over the place with these reviews. Cyberware is pretty interesting. Ripper ducks are really fucking expensive. Well, what do you expect? They're dealing with your body. I do like the fact that you can basically modify everything except for like hair and facial features. Like you can't have like enhanced smelling, which would have been funny. Just have like an enhanced nose. But the fact that you can modify your entire circulatory system, which is like the blood and heart and whatnot, is kind of uncomfortable to think about. Like, or like the skeletons, you can have titanium skeletons, which increase carrying capacity. I don't like the fact that arms are specifically for melee or fist fights or whatever. Just because I wish there was more like recoil stability. Or like you're steady, so there's no weapon sway. Like there's none of that. I don't like the fact that you're only limited to one arm, and I think just one arm. One arm modification. I think you can have two legs, but that's about it. And one eye modification. Even though one of those modifications links to both, I just don't find it realistic, because maybe you want like a gorilla arm in one hand and then the monowire modification on the other, and if maybe you want double jump on one of your legs and then sort of like giant leap for the other. But I guess that kind of makes sense as to why there's no such thing as that one, because you'll need like one leg and you'll need like one modification and only one hand does one modification, or like one monowire damage. I have no idea what I'm saying. I'm so all over the place. It is hot in here. Jesus Christ. So yeah, the music in the game is pretty good. I'm not a big fan of rap, but I do love the fact that the music is very what's the word? It's very fitting for Cyberpunk. Some people say it's not. I would definitely say the black metal stuff definitely isn't, because you don't drive around a nice city like this playing black metal, or any metal for that matter, unless it's like some metal band like Avenged Sevenfold or whatever. But that's a different tale. I'm trying to think. Aside from the bugs, there's nothing really much negative I can say. Although I did give a couple of negatives. I think the fact that your romance option can break up with you. There's no there's very limited cyberware modifications. I don't like the fact that like everything is based off of a perk. So like if you want to upgrade or modify an epic ranking gun, like you can only upgrade it once before you get a whole perk for it. Something like that I don't like. It took me, and there are a few things I did learn throughout my second playthrough, or my second character, because I am on my third one. I only beat the game on my second character. So which is the fact that you can craft ammunition. I didn't know that. I've been searching fucking everywhere for good amounts of ammo, but even then, once the stock is back up, you get more. You get more of the ammo you didn't buy than the ones that you did. It's like I once showed up and one of the things had like 50 sniper rifle ammo and 6 pistol ammo, because again I was doing a pistol only character and I needed pistol ammo. So something like that I find to be very weird. But I mean, it keeps the game from being overpowered, which is pretty good, because I think being overpowered in games is ridiculous. Unless it's a game like Fallout or Outer Worlds or whatever, because I feel like those are the only rule. By the way, best way to kick off the New Year's, I beat Cyberpunk, and I did cry at the end. I'm a very emotional person, so I did cry at the end, or I almost did, at the very least. I did try and force it just to see if I could keep it, because otherwise that means I really enjoyed it. But don't get me wrong, I do love the game. It is the best I've played of this year, whatever. Which kind of leads me to my next thing is, if you guys watch my Horizon Zero Dawn review, I talk about the fact that it is my #1 favorite game of all time. After playing Cyberpunk, I'm not so sure. Because if there's one thing I love is fun time endings, or just good time endings, and that's something you get if you do the star ending. It looks like your character's having a good time hanging out with Pan Am and whatnot, so that's something I do like. I haven't gone over the other endings, so that may change, whatever. But I do gotta give credit where credit's due, or that's a terrible way to word it, considering the fact that I have nothing to give. Keanu Reeves in this game is goddamn amazing. He's definitely out of what I'm used to, you know, like, I think I mentioned this in my first look or whatever, or my first thoughts. It's definitely something you wouldn't expect from Keanu Reeves. I haven't seen any of his movies. I just know him as being an amazing guy. But he's definitely not a nice guy in the Cyberpunk. And he's really good at it. You never expect the people to be who they're playing to be good at it. Like, Neil Patrick Harris is gay, but he plays an amazing straight guy. So is Jim Parsons. He's gay, but he plays an amazing straight guy. Idris Elba is British, but he plays in an amazing American in The Office. So it's something you don't expect, and this is definitely one of those. I will say, he's very confusing, Johnny Silverhands, because he goes from wanting to kill you to help you, and then once you're on the roof, and once you're on Misty's roof, he's like, "Look, I don't give a shit anymore. You do what you want, even because he wants it to where because he recommends you talk to Rogue, who is an ex-lover of Johnny's, or yeah, so Johnny recommends Rogue to you, but even if you don't go to her, he's not pressuring you into going to her, which is something you would expect whenever you first meet him. You don't have to trust him. He's just like, look, trust me, don't trust me, I don't give a fuck. We're stuck here. And then at the end, he has a change of heart, which I guess is because like you can't go back at that point. So it's just like, well, I mean, there's nothing much else. So I do want to say one thing: the devil ending is the standard ending. That's when you get no matter what. It doesn't matter if you do all the presets for Johnny's ending, the star, or even suicide. So suicide and the devil are the two main ones where even if you're not certain about if you really want to, if you're ready for Johnny, or you've already done, or you've set up for Pan Am's ending and you don't want to do that one, you can either do the devil ending or commit suicide. Which I do like that they do give you options. There is more than one option to it. The endings are a bit much in a sense. I'm used to the 4 endings, which is the 4 for New Vegas and 4 for Fallout 4. But there is also 2 for the Outer Worlds, so it's 1 that I'm used to and 3 than 1 I'm used to. I was trying to do math there for a moment. Not a good idea. The setup to the main game is pretty ridiculous because to me it's never expressed why Dexter Deshawn puts a bullet in your head. If there is, I haven't been paying attention, so I need to pay attention more to the game, which is something I plan on doing. But if there isn't any way that he explains it, or reasons why, I wish there was, because. And I also wish Dex told you what it was. He just tells you it's a biochip. There's no reason as to why he wants it. There's no explanation as to why he kills you. There's no explanation as to why he wants the biochip. It's just give me the biochip, and then once it's revealed you're wearing it, he just kills you, basically rendering the biochip useless because for all Dex knows, there's no way he could have known that there's Johnny Silverhands on there, and if he does, then that should have been explained more. He should have said, "Don't wear it." Although, granted, he is gonna kill you. But if he did know that Johnny Silverhands was in there, then why? What was he trying to gain from all of that? It's just ridiculous. Plus the fact that Johnny or Jackie dies later on, T-Bug dies. So basically, of all the people who were part of that heist, you, Jackie, T-Bug, and Dex, you were the only one to survive. But you got yourself a little extra friend who wants to kill you. I just find it ridiculous on how one of the endings is you give up your body to a terrorist, something you've had for 27 years. I googled. They're 27 years old, close to mid-20s, which is weird because they sound like they're teenagers. Or maybe late teens, like maybe 19 to 23. But definitely not 24 and up. So something like that seems really ridiculous. But other than that, there isn't really much anything else. I'm kind of going bouncing back and forth. I do love the cyberware facial stuff. It's pretty cool. But that's pretty much all I can think of at the moment. I'm trying to think. There isn't really much else. The characters are pretty good. Again, the only downside is the storyline's pretty weird. Because and especially considering the fact that there are three different starting points, it only goes up to where you meet Jackie, so that could either be straight away or later in the beginning or the prologue. Because the prologue only changes based off of your beginning or your starter turn on, whatever you want to start with. So like you could either be a corpo and you start off with Arasakas in the Arasakas, or you be a street kid and then you I don't know how you meet Jackie and corpo because I haven't done corpo and I don't think I'll do corpo because I'm not a rich person. Unless I need to, then I'll just because my goal with some of this is like romance. I do have like a goal which is like romance everyone except for maybe Rivers. I'm not sure because Rivers just seems again that whole fake eye thing seems a bit much for me, but whatever. If I must, I must. But unless I absolutely have to be a corpo to romance people, I'm not gonna be corpo. So I don't know how Jackie appears in this, but the prologue does end whenever you meet Jackie. That's how it works. Technically, to an extent, but the prologue does involve you meeting Jackie every time. Street Kid, you are involved. You do something for Pepe, who's sent you to Kirk. Kirk wants you to steal a car. Jackie appears at the car and robs you of the car you're robbing. So basically, he's robbing the car. He's robbing you, robbing the car, which is very funny. And then I think whatever the last one is, you automatically know Jackie. So there is a lot more variety in there. Different, and I do love choose your story or pick your ending stuff or choose your adventure stuff. That's why I like games like Fallout and the Outer Worlds. Kind of that's one of the things. That's one of the things that Horizon Zero Dawn that would have made it better is you have a choice between either working with Meridian or working with the Shadow Carja. But I mean, even if you could, there's no way you could set that up. But like with Fallout, you can side with the or New Vegas, you can side with NCR, Caesar's Legion, Mr. House, and Yes Man. And in Fallout 4, you can side with the Institute, Brotherhood of Steel, Railroad, and Minutemen. But in this, you have like 5 different endings. So each of these endings are really, really strange. It's a lot because there are stipulations to these endings, but this one seems to be a lot more to it. Plus, you do get extra rewards for it. I don't like the fact that Kato Genesis did bring up the fact that a new game plus. I don't think that'll be possible because there's no proper way to start. Because you could start after you wake up shot, but then you leave out the setup to Johnny. So that leads to the option of, okay, well, what if you do, and yes, it is New Game Plus. There's no really proper setup to sort of the stuff. So like in Horizon Zero Dawn, if you do New Game Plus, you automatically have Silence Lance. There's no setup for that. But I'm just saying, like, in this case, because if anything, you could just play it off as you found it. But in this, there's no real setups. Like, it could be like, okay, so it's Act 1, but then if you do side with Johnny or the secret ending, which I think you get Rogue's pistol, you still have someone else's gear from a terrorist, which you could easily play off as you bought it from the store of the samurai fan, but then they don't recognize you, so that's not on the table. And yes, role-playing is out the option there, but I just feel like it would be a bad idea. Plus, it could be a thing of like, oh, okay, so you have Rogue's pistol. Well, then that also leads off the fact that you've never met Rogue, because Rogue definitely doesn't recognize you. And what about the fact that if you do the Aldecados ending, you basically have an Aldecados jacket, but yet you've never heard of them. You don't know somebody named Pan Am. You meet Saul for the first time. So something like that would be weird. And I understand I'm thinking too much into it, but that's the stuff. But there are rewards you get for beating the game. You can go back and you can do one more gig or whatnot. But the thing with that is it's supposed New Game Plus is supposed to be after you beat the game, which means you do have those items, except for suicide, because there's no way you could just put all your perks into random shit that you want to try and then just go from there. But other than that, if you I would say New Game Plus should be limited to those unless you kill yourself, because I don't know, you have all of these items. You do have Johnny Silverhand's glasses and some other stuff, pants or whatever. But so I do think it would make the rewards a bit more useful, because otherwise you're just wasting your time doing stuff that you probably wouldn't be able to do. You probably, to me, it feels like you probably do the ending because there's nothing else you can do to level your character up that you know of. Like, that's what I did. I knew about the fact that I knew I was ready for the story ending. I did what I needed. I romanced Judy. I did all the stuff for Pan Am. It just seemed like there was something else I could have done, but there isn't any. I could easily neutralize the enemies, but then I need a melee weapon, and I'll be putting unnecessary points into melee. So something like that just seems weird. I do wish there was more. There needs to be more Netrunner shops also. Maybe not a whole lot. Like maybe not as much as every store or not as much as like maybe every gun store or whatever. I do think it'd be funny if there was a lot more Joy Toys, because the only place you can go is Jig Street. To my knowledge, that's the only place I know. Which means that if you speedrun using Joy Toys or sex, which is a thing, I don't know why, you miss out on it for like the entirety of Act 1, because the lockdown doesn't go off until Act 2. Because that's when you meet Takamura and he wants to go see Wakako. Well, Wakako is in the area around Jig Street, especially on, which is broken until Act 2. Or is on lockdown until Act 2. So something like that needs... but Joy Toys aren't a thing for me. I'm more of like, I'm not like a one and done thing. I'm more of like a serious type thing, so... But... That's nothing. That's not here nor there. I'm supposed to be reviewing. I'm just talking now. So, but that's pretty much all I can think of. Though, like I mentioned before, weapons are actually pretty good. I do wish there was like available like a lot more modifications. Like you can put critical chance modifications on shoes. It's like it increases the critical chance if you wear those certain shoes. Because I wore high heels. Like imagine doing. Like you wear street clothes and high heels. That's kind of what I was going for. No undershirt, so it was just a jacket with like cleavage, street pants and high heels and sunglasses. Like the most basic and weirdest outfit I could think of is like a formal, but you're into the good stuff. You're like a sex freak businesswoman, and it shows. That sort of thing, even though that's off the table. But either way, before I annoy your heads, I'm just gonna end this episode here. If there's something else I can think of, let me know. Or if anything, if there's something I forget, check the comment section. I'll definitely do an updated version in the comments. And if I do all the endings, let me know if you guys want my thoughts on the different endings. I would definitely do that. Since I'm not monetizing this channel, I could get off scot-free without asking for money. But views is kind of the weird thing. But whatever. Anyways, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on Cyberpunk? Keep bugs aside, because I didn't talk about bugs in this video, because I don't think bugs is what makes a game. And if you're new, subscribe. You could, and if you change it, and if you don't like when I'm putting out or whatever, you can always change your mind and unsubscribe. It's free and it's easy. And if you do subscribe, make sure to hit that bell notification, because I don't have a schedule, and then that would really help make your subscription worth it, I guess. Loser Manic out.